If someone had told me that at 77 years old, I would be spending 2 months in a nursing home, I would have laughed. That was something for much later, something for other people, not me. But life doesn't wait for our plans. It moves forward with or without our permission. I thought my stay would be temporary, just a brief moment of recovery before returning home. But those 2 months changed me. I saw things I never noticed before, the quiet despair in some faces, the deep peace in others. I met people who had been there for years, some waiting for visits that never came, some carrying regrets heavier than time itself. And as I listened to their stories, as I lay awake in the silence of that place, I realized something. These were not just their lessons, they were mine too. They are yours. Because one day, whether we like it or not, we will all grow old. And when that day comes, we won't be able to turn back time. The only thing we can do is make sure that when we look back, we do so with peace, not regret. The question is, what kind of life will you look back on? Before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video. It helps me keep sharing more important lessons. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Also, if you enjoy this video, please comment 1. If you don't, comment 0 so I know how to improve. Now, let's get started. 1. Loneliness is the greatest burden of old age. I met a man named George during my stay in the nursing home. He was 82 years old, with sharp blue eyes that still held the remnants of the man he once was, strong, independent, full of life. But now, he sat by the window every day, staring at the front door, waiting for someone who would never come. George had 4 children, successful and busy with their own lives, yet none had visited him in years. He never complained, never spoke ill of them, but there was a sadness in his voice whenever he mentioned their names. They call sometimes, he told me with a weak smile. They say they'll visit when they get a chance. But they never did. Loneliness isn't just the absence of people, it's the absence of feeling remembered, of feeling needed. In that nursing home, I saw it everywhere. People who once had vibrant lives, families, careers, now sitting alone in their rooms, their only company the hum of a television set. It wasn't the lack of medical care that made their eyes look hollow, it was the silence. The days stretched long, the nights even longer. And I understood something I had never fully grasped before. Loneliness is not just an emotion, it's a sickness, one that eats away at you from the inside out. The saddest part? Most of the loneliness in old age is preventable. It happens because people get too busy, too distracted, too caught up in their own lives to notice the ones who raised them, who loved them, who once made sacrifices for them. They assume there will always be time to visit, time to call, time to reconnect, until there isn't. The world moves on, and the elderly, once at the center of a family's life, become an afterthought. I used to believe that loneliness was just part of getting older. But now, I know it doesn't have to be. Relationships are like plants. You have to water them, nurture them, or they wither away. If you are lucky enough to have people in your life, don't wait until they are sitting alone in a room, staring at a door that never opens. Call them. Visit them. Show them they still matter. Because one day, you might find yourself in their place. And when that day comes, you won't wish for more money, more success, more possessions. You will wish for the sound of a familiar voice, the warmth of a loved one's presence. You will wish for time you can never get back. 2. Health is more valuable than wealth. I met a man in the nursing home who once had everything: wealth, power, success. He had built an empire, owned multiple businesses, traveled the world, and lived in luxury. People once respected him, admired him, envied him. But now, he couldn't even lift a spoon to his mouth without help. He sat in a wheelchair, unable to walk, his body frail and unresponsive. The money that once gave him freedom now meant nothing. It couldn't buy back his strength. It couldn't restore his ability to move, to eat, to enjoy the simplest pleasures of life. He looked at me one day and said something that I will never forget. I would give away every dollar I ever made just to have my body back. That moment changed me. We spend so much of our lives chasing success, working long hours, sacrificing sleep, skipping meals, drowning ourselves in stress, thinking that we are building something worthwhile. We believe that once we achieve a certain level of wealth, we will finally be able to enjoy life. But what if, by the time we get there, our body is too broken to enjoy anything at all? What if all the money in the world can't give us back the ability to walk outside and feel the warmth of the sun on our skin? What if it can't stop the pain of a failing body, the frustration of losing independence? I saw it firsthand in that nursing home. People who once had everything now had nothing, because they had neglected the one thing that mattered most, their health. No one ever expects to end up in a place where they need help for even the simplest things. But it happens, and it happens faster than we realize. The truth is, no amount of wealth can reverse decades of poor choices, years of ignoring our bodies, pushing them past their limits, treating them like machines instead of the fragile, irreplaceable vessels they are. If I could go back, I would take better care of myself. I would walk more, eat better, worry less. I would choose my health over money, over career, over stress. Because in the end, when your body starts to fail, all the success in the world won't matter. What will matter is whether you still have the strength to stand, the energy to laugh, the ability to live without pain. Take care of yourself now, while you still can. Because once your health is gone, no amount of money will ever bring it back. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for taking the time to watch. 3. Material things lose their meaning. I used to have a house filled with things, beautiful furniture, expensive clothes, shelves lined with collectibles, decorations I had gathered over the years. Every room was carefully arranged, every object placed just right. At the time, I believed these things mattered. They were symbols of a life well lived, proof of my success, my hard work. But now, I live in a single room in a nursing home, and everything I once owned is gone. And you know what? I don't miss any of it. In the nursing home, you realize quickly how little material things mean. No one cares about the car you drove, the designer clothes you wore, or the size of your house. The only things that matter are the relationships you built and the memories you made. I have seen people sit in their rooms, surrounded by a few remnants of their past, photo albums, a worn-out book, an old wristwatch. Those are the things that carry meaning, because they are tied to experiences, to people, to love. The fancy possessions? They fade, they break, they get left behind. I once met a man who had spent his entire life accumulating wealth. He had owned properties, traveled first class, lived in luxury. But in the nursing home, all of that meant nothing. He had no family visiting him, no real friends left. He told me, "I spent my whole life working for things I can't even take with me. I wish I had spent more time collecting memories instead of objects." His words hit me hard. How many of us spend our lives doing the same? Working long hours, chasing money, buying more and more, believing that possessions will bring us happiness? And yet, when the end comes, we realize too late that none of it truly mattered. The things we collect will not bring us comfort in old age. It won't be the expensive furniture or the fancy gadgets that give us joy. It will be the moments we shared, the people we loved, the experiences that made us feel alive. If I could go back, I would live differently. I would buy less and experience more. I would fill my life with laughter, love, and adventure instead of objects. Because in the end, the only thing that truly matters is not what you own, but the life you lived. Let go of the obsession with things. Focus on what really lasts: memories, love, and the people who make life worth living. For independence is a gift. Cherish it. I never truly appreciated my independence until I lost it. For most of my life, I took it for granted, the ability to get out of bed in the morning, walk to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of coffee, drive to the store when I needed something. These were just ordinary parts of life, things I never gave a second thought. But when I found myself in a nursing home, suddenly dependent on others for even the simplest tasks, I understood just how precious independence really is. I remember the first time I had to ask for help to use the bathroom. It was humbling. I had lived my whole life on my own terms, making my own choices, doing things when I wanted, how I wanted. Now, I had to wait for someone to assist me, to rely on others for things I had always done without thinking. The loss of independence wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It made me feel small, helpless, a burden. And I wasn't alone in that feeling. I met people who had spent decades living active, vibrant lives, only to wake up one day and realize that their body no longer obeyed them. Their mind was still sharp, but their limbs were weak. Their spirit was willing, but their body had given up. There was a woman in the nursing home named Helen. She had been an athlete in her younger years, full of energy and strength. Now, she needed help just to lift a spoon to her mouth. One day, she looked at me and said, "I never thought I'd end up like this." If I had known, I would have cherished every step, every movement, every moment I had control over my own body. Her words haunted me. I, too, had spent so much of my life rushing from one thing to the next, never stopping to appreciate the simple, incredible gift of being able to care for myself. If you can still move freely, still make your own choices, still dress yourself, bathe yourself, cook for yourself, don't take it for granted. One day, you might not be able to. And when that day comes, you will look back and wish you had appreciated it more. Take care of your body, stay active, and cherish every small freedom you have. Independence is a gift, one that can be taken away without warning. Appreciate it now, while you still can. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment 3 below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 5. True happiness comes from simple things. There was a woman in the nursing home named Margaret. She was 85 years old, frail but always smiling. She had lost her husband years ago, outlived many of her friends, and had no children to visit her. Yet, every morning, she greeted the staff and residents with warmth, as if life had given her nothing but joy. One day, I asked her, "Margaret, what's your secret? How do you stay so happy?" She laughed softly and said, "I don't think about what I lost. I enjoy what I still have." Her words stayed with me. In that nursing home, I saw 2 kinds of people, those who constantly mourned what was gone and those who found happiness in the little things. The ones who spent their days bitter, dwelling on the past, were miserable. But the ones like Margaret, who found joy in a cup of tea, in a warm breeze through the window, in a kind conversation, lived with a kind of peace that couldn't be shaken. They understood something that most people spend a lifetime chasing. Happiness isn't in grand achievements, in wealth, or in things. It's in the simplest moments, the ones we often overlook. I used to believe happiness was something you had to earn, something you had to chase, after success, after money, after reaching some imaginary goal. But after spending time in the nursing home, I realized happiness isn't something you find later. It's something you choose now. It's in the way you appreciate the taste of your favorite meal, the way you laugh with a friend, the way you sit outside and feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. It's in the quiet moments, the little joys that most of us are too busy to notice. Too many people waste their lives searching for happiness in all the wrong places. They think they'll be happy when they get that promotion, when they buy that house, when they reach retirement. But I've seen people who had all those things and still felt empty. And I've seen people with nothing, no family, no wealth, no great achievements, who radiated joy because they knew the secret. Happiness isn't about what you have, it's about what you notice. If you want to be happy, stop waiting for the big moments. Happiness is already here, in front of you, in the little things. Pay attention to them, because one day, you'll realize they were the big things all along. 6. Forgiveness brings peace. There was a woman in the nursing home named Eleanor. She was 89 years old, sharp-minded, and still had a fire in her spirit. But despite her wit and wisdom, there was something in her eyes, a weight she carried that made her seem tired, not just from age, but from something deeper. One evening, as we sat together watching the sunset, she told me her story. She had a sister, her only sibling, with whom she had once been inseparable. But decades ago, they had a falling out, something about money, something about pride. Eleanor couldn't even remember the details anymore, only that they had stopped speaking. Years passed, and she always assumed they'd make amends one day. But that day never came. Her sister passed away before they could fix what had been broken. And now, it was too late. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "I thought staying angry made me strong. But all it did was steal my peace." Those words stayed with me. In the nursing home, I met many people who carried old grudges against family members, old friends, even those who had long since passed. And I saw how that bitterness aged them, how it kept them trapped in a past they could never change. The ones who held onto resentment suffered the most, not the people they were angry at. Their anger didn't punish their enemies, it only punished them. I realized something profound. Forgiveness is not about excusing what someone did. It's not about saying the pain didn't matter. It's about setting yourself free. Holding onto anger is like carrying a heavy stone in your heart, one that weighs you down more and more each year, until you can barely move forward. The people in the nursing home who had made peace with their past, who had chosen to forgive, were the ones who seemed the lightest, the most at peace. They had let go of their burdens and, in doing so, found freedom. If there is someone in your life you need to forgive, do it now. Not for them, for you. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Life is too short to carry bitterness to the grave. When the final chapter of your life comes, don't let your last thought be, "I wish I had let go sooner." Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's the greatest act of strength. And in the end, it's not about making someone else feel better. It's about setting yourself free. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 7. Every day is a gift. Don't waste it. One evening in the nursing home, I had dinner with a man named Robert. He was 84, sharp-witted, and full of stories. That night, he talked about his childhood, his adventures, the love of his life, and all the things he had seen. We laughed, we shared memories, and for a moment, time felt suspended. But the next morning, Robert's bed was empty. He had passed away in his sleep. Just like that, he was gone. It was a sobering reminder. Life doesn't give warnings. One moment, you're here, thinking you have time, and the next, you're just a memory. Sitting in that nursing home, I realized how much time we waste on things that don't matter, on worries that never come true, on grudges that only hurt us. We put off joy, waiting for the right time to live. We tell ourselves we'll visit family soon, we'll follow our dreams one day, we'll say I love you when the moment feels perfect. But what if that perfect moment never comes? What if we wake up one day and realize we ran out of time? I saw it so many times. People who spent their whole lives waiting for a future that never arrived. They had regrets about the places they never visited, the risks they never took, the words they never said. They spent years saving for retirement, only to find that their bodies were too weak to enjoy it. They worked late nights, thinking they were building a better future, only to realize too late that they had missed the best years of their lives. Then, there were the others, the ones who had truly lived. They were the ones with fewer regrets, the ones who had loved deeply, laughed loudly, and embraced every moment. They weren't the wealthiest or the most successful, but they were at peace because they had made the most of their time. Every day is a gift. And yet, so many of us wasted on stress, on anger, on waiting for the right time to be happy. But happiness isn't waiting for you in some distant future. It's in the moments you choose to embrace right now. Tell the people you love how much they mean to you. Laugh often. Take the trip. Chase your dreams. Live while you still can. Because when your time comes, you won't regret the things you did. You'll only regret the moments you let slip away. Aging isn't about time. It's about how you live. In the nursing home, I met two kinds of people. Some were at peace, their eyes filled with the quiet satisfaction of a life well lived. They had stories of love, laughter, adventure, and purpose. They spoke about the people they cherished, the risks they took, and the moments they had truly lived. They weren't afraid of aging because they had no regrets. Then, there were the others, the ones who sat in silence, lost in memories of what they should have done, what they wished they had said, what they had let slip away. Their regret was heavier than their years, and it showed in their eyes. That's when I realized something. Aging isn't about how many years you have left. It's about how well you spent the years you had. Many people fear growing old, but I've learned that aging itself isn't the problem. It's wasted time that haunts people. It's not the wrinkles or the gray hair that make people sad. It's the love they didn't express, the dreams they didn't chase, the friendships they let fade away. The saddest people in the nursing home weren't the oldest. They were the ones who felt they had never truly lived. I used to think I had all the time in the world. That there would always be another day, another chance, another moment. But time doesn't wait. It moves forward whether we're ready or not. And if we aren't careful, we spend our lives existing instead of truly living. We get caught up in routine, in responsibilities, in the endless cycle of waiting for the right time to do the things that matter. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only now. I no longer fear growing older, but I do fear wasting the time I have left. I fear looking back and realizing I let too many moments slip away because I was too busy, too distracted, or too afraid to embrace life fully. And that's what I want to tell you. Don't wait. Don't wait to say the words you need to say, to do the things that set your soul on fire, to spend time with the people who matter. Because in the end, your age won't define your life. Your choices will. Aging is not about counting years. It's about making years count. Live deeply, love fully, and when your time comes, let it be said that you truly lived. As I look back on my time in the nursing home, I realized that aging isn't something to fear. It's wasted time that should terrify us. The greatest regret isn't growing old. It's looking back and realizing you didn't truly live. I met people who had lived deeply, loved without hesitation, and embraced every moment. They had stories that made them smile, memories that brought them peace, and no fear of the end because they had lived well. But I also met others who were haunted by regrets, words left unsaid, time spent chasing the wrong things, love they were too afraid to express. Their silence was heavy, not just with age, but with the weight of opportunities they had let pass them by. If I could go back, I wouldn't wish for more years. I would wish for more moments where I was fully present, where I chose love over anger, people over possessions, and experiences over excuses. Because at the end of the road, it's not about how much time you had, it's about how well you used it. The people who had made peace with their lives weren't the ones who had the most money, the biggest houses, or the most impressive careers. They were the ones who had invested in relationships, in joy, in meaning. So if you're listening to this, no matter how old or young you are, take this to heart. Every day is a gift. Don't waste it. Don't put off happiness for some distant future. Don't wait for retirement, for the perfect time, for someday. Someday never comes. The time to love is now. The time to forgive is now. The time to chase what matters is now. Because one day, you will wake up, and it will be too late to do all the things you told yourself you'd do one day. If there's someone you love, tell them. If there's a dream inside you, follow it. If there's a grudge weighing you down, let it go. Fill your life with laughter, adventure, and moments that make your heart full. Because when your time comes, and it will, you won't regret the things you did. You'll only regret the moments you let slip away. Aging is not about how many years you have left. It's about how you spend the ones you do. So live fully, love deeply, and make sure that when your time comes, you can look back and say, I truly lived. Thank you for following us till the end. Don't forget to show some love by clicking the like button and subscribe. This supports the channel and allows me to continue creating content for you. Leave your thoughts or comments below. Feel free to express yourself and stay positive. See you next time. If you want to know how long you might live after 70, don't look for the answer in a medical report or a genetic test. The secret isn't in your past, it's in how you live each day. Longevity isn't just about years, it's about the choices we make, the habits we cultivate, and the mindset we embrace. Today, I'll share 6 powerful signs that reveal not only how long you might live, but how well you will live. These signs, rooted in real-life stories, will inspire you to move, think, connect, and find purpose in ways that can transform your future. Before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video. It helps me keep sharing more important lessons. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please comment 1. If you don't, comment 0 so I know how to improve. Now, let's get started. At 78 years old, Mr. George is the embodiment of vitality.